Ms. Tiong.
Question 9, please.
Mr. Speaker, casual employees whose working days or hours are not fixed make up a small and declining share of the workforce. They constituted 3.4% of resident employees in 2018, down from 5.1% in 2009. All employees, including casual work employees, are covered by Singapore's various employment-related legislation, such as the Employment Act and the CPF Act. Therefore, like regular employees, casual work employees are entitled to timely payment of salary, CPF, and protection against wrongful dismissal. They are also entitled to paid annual leave and sick leave if they have been employed for at least 3 months. Other jurisdictions might have seen an increase in the number of self-employed persons engaging in casual work. In Singapore, we cannot equate SEPs with casual workers. For example, taxi drivers are self-employed but work regular shifts. Nonetheless, the proportion of SEPs who did self-employed work as their main job has remained stable at 8% to 10% of our resident workforce over the past decade. In fact, there was a drop in the number of SEPs last year, due in part to the tighter job market. Our survey shows that many SEPs choose to be self-employed for greater flexibility and autonomy. In 2017, MOM convened a tripartite work group on SEPs. The work group consulted extensively with SEPs and other stakeholders such as SEP associations and service buyers, and considered practices in other jurisdictions as well. Its recommendations are being systematically implemented. First, the Tripartite Alliance for Dispute Management, or TADM, launched its voluntary mediation services last year to assist SEPs in resolving disputes. The tripartite partners are also encouraging the adoption of the tripartite standard on contracting with SEPs and the key terms of engagement form template to minimize disputes. Second, we made available prolonged medical leave insurance products for SEPs to enhance their protection. Third, we are working with tripartite partners and SEP associations to ensure that SEPs have access to both technical and non-technical skills training. Lastly, we will be introducing a contribute as you earn model to make it easier for SEPs to save for their healthcare needs. The government, as a service buyer, will take the lead to pilot the savings model next year. For those seeking alternatives to casual work or self-employment, there is a wide range of support under the government's Adapt and Grow initiative. They can approach career centres run by the Workforce Singapore and NTUC's E2I for assistance.
Ms. Tiong.
Thank you, Speaker. Thank you, MOS, for the response. I understand that a Labour task force actually found that there's a third category of workers called dependent workers. This would be workers who the ministry cannot correctly categorize as either employees or self-employed persons. Examples of such dependent workers, they are typically the ones who actually choose to sell their services only to one company, like the likes of Grab drivers and Deliveroo, delivery men. How are we supporting this group of dependent workers?
Well, we are aware of some jurisdictions that introduced a separate category of workers and some limited employment protection. But we assess that in doing so could lead employers reclassifying existing employees under this separate category, resulting in reduced protection. So to a certain sense, one of the major issues that we've seen in countries such as UK and Italy in creating a separate category is that you find employees being classified there, or you find misclassification to try to game the system by providing them less benefits. So to some extent, there are two problems that we found. One, you found that in misclassification, employees got weaker protections. At the same time, businesses also got smarter because they then changed their contracting models to fully or partially avoid obligation. So in Singapore, for example, if you're classified as SEP, employees don't pay for CPF, for example, so you fork out yourself. So to a certain extent, the terms are very different, and you're not covered against certain terms. So to a certain sense, I think we will keep to the current model, But where we will do more are schemes in which, for example, for low-wage workers, we've got workfare to support them, and other forms of employability type schemes such as training and insurance, for example, that we can support them better. Thank you.
Mr. Patrick Tay.
MOS, I think I personally come across casual workers who are sometimes wrongly classified as own account workers, self-employed, freelance, independent contractors, contract for service. I mean, the terms are used interchangeably. I think whether we can do more and can MOM have a more robust approach to errant employers as well as a better outreach to such casual workers.
Well, I thank the member for his observations. And in fact, that was what I was mentioning just now. If you create new segments of workers, then all the more you find employers or some industry try to game the system. So in the last 3 years, the Ministry of Manpower and Central Provident Fund Board, or CPF Board, received a total of 308 cases of suspected misclassification. In 160 cases, workers were assessed to be misclassified as self-employed persons, or SEPs. Each case that MOM and CPF Board investigates into could involve more than one worker. So on average, about 100 workers per year were found to be misclassified. In all but 2 of these misclassification cases, employees made good their obligations when informed of the misclassification and paid back the affected employees what they were due, including overtime pay and CPF contributions. So those are the protections that they get as employees. So penalties, including warning and late payment interest charges, were meted out to the companies. So 2 companies which refused to make the necessary payments to the affected employees were prosecuted. Right. One subsequently fully settled the arrears out of court, while the other is currently appealing against its conviction. So rest assured that MOM and CPF, we will investigate the case. And if misclassification is established, we will ensure that employers make good their obligations and to pay back the affected employees what they were due, including overtime pay and CPF contributions.